morning, everyone. It is July the 16th, 2018. Today I want to talk about manifestation and how it works in astrology. When you talk about manifestation, it's bringing something out of the non-tangible world, which Saturn rules, to the tangible world, which Jupiter rules. The non-material and the material. And the most influential or useful planet in doing that is Neptune. Neptune is currently in Aquarius. Let's see if Neptune is one of the retrogrades. 02134. Yes, so we have a Neptune retrograde right now. And Neptune retrograde means daydream. And that has flip sides to it, right? You can be a person that's not paying attention because you're all off in your head. You're always daydreaming. But without daydreaming, if we're not manifesting consciously, which is Neptune, then we're manifesting from our subconscious, which is Pluto. Okay? Neptune deals in conscious thought, the will. You're invoking thought with the will. And the way this works is we'll have these great ideas when Neptune is, wow, it's fixing to get loud. Apologize for the interruption. I hope I can get this video done. Now, to manifest, you have to start with the daydream, with the idea. And when Neptune is trine, conjunct, or squared Saturn, you will begin to have these ideas coming out of the conscience, but etheric, non-material world. And then when Neptune moves into a position where it's conjunct, trine, or squared Jupiter, it will begin to manifest in the physical world. And in between those two times is when you perpetuate the manifestation. You take an idea and you write it down. You bring it out of the one-dimensional thought onto a two-dimensional piece of paper or notepad or video or something. And then you begin to watch it manifest. That's the way this works. Now that's how you talk about it in astrology terms, okay? Now I'm going to talk to you about the same thing in alchemical terminology. And it's going to be a lot easier for you to understand. When Neptune and Saturn are in the same element, earth, fire, water, air, are on the same cross, mutable, fixed, cardinal, is when you'll have the ideas. Instead of when you think square, you're thinking about the cross, because a square and a cross are the same thing. When you're thinking about a trine, you're thinking about the elements, because they run in threes, right? You have 4 elements with 3 stages of cardinal, fixed, and mutable. The mutable cross and the mutable elements are the best ones for manifestation. Now, if you have Neptune, Jupiter, and Saturn all in the same element, all at the same time, then that is the time when you can manifest now. When Neptune is retrograde, a great time for manifestation. So we have Neptune currently 1 on the fixed cross and 2 in an air sign. So we need Saturn in an air sign or on the fixed cross. And that's not happening because he's currently in Sagittarius, which is mutable. Great if Neptune was mutable, but he's retrograde in Aquarius. Had he been still going forward, he might have been in Pisces and it would have evoked Saturn on the mutable cross. Are y'all starting to see this in your head a little more clearly? The more time you spend with this chart, the more time you spend with alchemy, the more clear it's going to become for you. We currently have Jupiter in that air sign. So it is whatever ideas came about when Neptune was trine conjunct or squared Saturn is now manifesting because Jupiter and Neptune are both in air signs, fixed air and cardinal air. And Jupiter just came out of retrograde. They were both retrograde, which means two things. Jupiter retrograde, you're thinking outside of the box. Neptune retrograde, you're daydreaming. And that's what it takes for manifestation. Had Saturn been in the other air sign of Gemini, it would have been a trifecta. And you could be literally manifesting right now. But you have one on a cardinal cross, one on a fixed cross, and one on a mutable cross. And the only two you have aspecting each other right now are Jupiter and Neptune in Aquarius. Are you starting to see what I'm telling you? Let's get 3 of them out here. Neptune here. Let me pull him back up. There's something else I want to say about the way Stellarium works in the chart and the way the traditions of astrology work. All astrologies, except for what I'm doing, start with Aries, and this star right here, it's called Sheraton. In the Arabic, let's translate this star out because I want to teach you something here. In the Arabic, this star is called the first sign. The first sign. This is where the Zodiac begins in sidereal and tropical astrology. When you're looking at that tradition, okay? I don't agree with this, but when you start the circle, this is 0 degrees. But that's not what it is over here. Over here it's 33 degrees, okay? You can look at the longitude, latitude, J2000.0, and you'll see it's at 33 degrees. Let's bring, I'll do that for another video, but I just wanted you to know that when you talk about this astrology, this should, the way they use it, it should start right here, but it doesn't. Currently, we mark the astrology by the spring equinox. It's when the egg stands on its end. The egg don't lie. Everything's in balance that day. Okay, you have equal number of hours of day and night on the spring equinox and the fall equinox. So twice a year you can measure balance. And that's why Libra has scales now. It used to be 2 claws of an eagle, and they changed it to the scales because at one time in history, Libra did bring in that balance of Aries was on the spring equinox and Libra was on the fall equinox. Well, that's no longer true. The way we do our calendar with the leap year, our equinox always falls either on March the 21st or March the 22nd. And that's how it's done. So, you know when this tradition began right here. This is Aries. It's the god of cardinal fire, right? It's the age of Aries. It's the Hebrew traditions. And they marked everything by this star, the first sign, 0 degrees, and then counting 30 degrees each constellation, each house of the zodiac. thereafter, 12 times 3, 12 times 3 being 36 or 360. 12 times 30 degrees is the 360-degree circle. But this is 0. This is what I call ground zero right here. And it used to be, if we put it at the spring equinox, let's move this day, 321. And now you still have it at the 33 degrees, because that's where it's marked in this circle they're using. So we need to jump 33 degrees over here. Now the sun is at 0 degrees on the spring equinox, almost. Let's get him to 0, 0, 0. Oops. And there we are. That's close as 0 as we're going to get. And that's 320. Not 321 or 322. But at 320 is our spring equinox. By this calendar. By this one. But the perfect way to do it is by the egg. And then you mark them 30 degrees from the spring equinox. Now, the sidereal astrology has been making a lot of changes, and there's a war in sidereal astrology right now because they're bringing in Ophiuchus. A lot of them are bringing in the 13th sign. A lot of people thought it would be Orion. There is no 13th sign. That throws everything off. They took part of Scorpio. They took part of Sagittarius. They moved Capricorn way over. And it just messed up the whole thing. And it'll never work because the alchemy doesn't work. Now, here's their argument, is the fifth element, right? They're trying to bring in the etheric fifth element because you have earth, water, fire, and air. The fifth element is in the middle. It is the thing that the magic works on. It's the prima materia. It's consciousness. It's not emotion, Mars. It's not Venus, love. It's consciousness. The conscious, and the earth is in the middle. The consciousness. We are in the middle. And we are consciousness. I've said this many times. We're not people having a spiritual experience or a psychedelic experience or a matrix experience. We are spirits, soul beings, having a carnal experience. We're at the carnal veil. The flesh is the veil. When the flesh dies, when you open your third eye or you have a near-death experience, the veil comes down, the flesh. And then you see, you know, the flesh is a great hindrance. It is the veil. When you're out of the veil, when you're out of the flesh, astral traveling, opening the third eye, or near-death experience, you've put off the flesh, you've put off the mortality, and information flows, you have this expanded mind. And again, I'm going to say the best way to get there is fasting. Fasting. Taking everything out of the body. Shutting down the body's function of digestion, and then your body takes and starts healing itself as well. And it shuts down those lower chakras of desire, Jupiter, and pleasures, the root chakra, Mars, emotions. It shuts them down, and you move into those upper chakras. Even on the tree of life, hitting that da'at, that knowledge, not chakma or bina, not wisdom and understanding. You have to have the knowledge, and that comes from da'at. So fasting is always, that's taught by every culture. Meditation by some and others, but fasting in most religions is still required today, except Christianity. Instead of fasting, we feast. On our holy days or holidays, we're throwing down these huge meals, and we get all stuffed and go take a nap. But in past traditions, it was just the opposite. You fasted, and then you feasted. All right? And we're going to manifest, manifest. That's a festival, right? It's festive. You manifest it. So start paying attention to your natal charts. Whatever cross you're on in your natal chart is going to be your most powerful cross of manifestation. It's not just a burden, it's also an asset if you know how to use it. Your element and your cross, those are your two power signs, right? Your element, say your element is earth. So there comes a time in your life when you're going to have Neptune, Saturn, and Jupiter all in an earth sign. And they don't have to be in different earth signs. They can be all in the same earth sign. That's going to happen rarely, because Saturn and Jupiter conjunctions are only every 20 years. And to catch Neptune there would be awesome for the whole world, whatever sign it was in. But regardless, just pay attention to that in your natal charts. That's why you're told to take up your cross daily, right? Look at what's going on in every day for you. Right now, everybody's in retrograde mania. Saturn retrograde, there's just a lot of abuse of authority right now. People who have authority over you take advantage of you for their own personal pleasures and financial gains. Mars retrograde, depression, outburst of energy, what you call bipolar, going from one extreme to the other. Pluto retrograde, the subconscious mind, winning arguments you don't necessarily deserve to win. You're winning the argument, but you're in the wrong, because you just keep on and keep on and keep on. Or your opponent just gives up. Neptune retrograde, daydreaming, fantasy, imagination. We just came out of Jupiter retrograde, which is thinking outside of the box. Going into a Uranus retrograde, rebellion. Coming into another Mercury retrograde, fixing to be on top of us. Breakdown in communication. Logic. When you talk about Mercury being retrograde, and then Mars being retrograde, that's explosive. Uranus coming in retrograde, rebellion. Saturn retrograde, the walls come down, the gloves coming off. Abuse of authority. Think about what I'm telling you here. Look at it on the big picture of what's going on the world stage. Look at it in your tribal area, your family, your friends, those that surround you. And then look at it on an individual, how this affects me. You need many different perspectives, not just one. You need to know how it affects you compared to your natal chart. But just food for thought here, giving you a little more in-depth look at this magic circle and what it's really all about. It's becoming, it's alchemy. We don't evolve, we mutate, we transmutate. We are becoming. Or if we're not becoming, that's very unbecoming. I love that, unbecoming. An unbecoming person is considered an ugly person, unbecoming. And ugly shows itself in many ways. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. True ugly to me comes from within. True beauty comes from within. You will know them by their fruit. What do they produce? Strife, anger, tension, rage, separation? Or do they produce harmony, balance, love, equality, and self-empowerment? You can set yourself free. The sun's in the belly of the whale. This is the whale. When the moon is here, this is the moon is Jonah, and the whale is Jonah's in the belly of the whale 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the whale. But look at it in the different traditions as well to get you this different aspect of what all's really going on in the world and how we can use this more to our benefit. It's like the old adage, if you're not living life, it's living you. So many of us, we're in this great time of separation. We had Uranus in Pisces for over a decade, and that was horrendous. We lost people in our life. When you talk about water, biblically, waters are always people. To me, when it says flood, I think immigration flood, right? Great flood, flood of immigration. But when you talk about Pisces, it's the masses. It's the peoples and nations and tongues of the world. And it's mutable. When you talk about the water in Cancer, this is the matriarch. This is mama's house. This is home. These are the people in your family, in your home, your tribe, your blood lineage, your family. And when you talk about the water in Scorpio, it's fixed, right? These are your intimate players, your lovers, your best friends, people you choose to share your life with. We can't choose our family, Cancer, but we can choose our friends, Scorpio, and Pisces is the waters of the world. It's a mystical sign. It's actually a harmonious sign, or it was a harmonious sign in a great way compared to other ages. But as we're leaving Pisces, it's very chaotic. But at one time it was in the balance. It was the spring equinox. So it had that balance. It no longer has that. It's falling. Just like Lucifer fell. Just like Libra fell. When you talk about Libra no longer being in the fall equinox, O Lucifer, how art thou fallen? So the scales are now off balance. We have a new scale. We're going to have Aquarius in the spring equinox, and we're going to have the lion in the west. As one is in the east, the other is in the west, rising and setting. The man and the lion, that fixed cross, all that symbolism all over the world, and it's all about Aquarius. They've reshaped some of it, they built over some of it, and tried to make it about Orion. They've tried to make it about Orion. And he's the giant, right? There were giants in the earth in those days. The shoulder of the giant is Betelgeuse. He's the giant foot. Giants, I've been telling you, it's not what you've been told. It simply means masons. The builders. There were builders in the earth in those days and after that. When the sons of whatever God was in control, and they perpetrate this over and over again, every age, and they use the symbolism of that age to entrap you. They know what we're drawn to. Pluto deals with symbolism in the subconscious. Pluto understands all of this on a subconscious level. It affects us. That's why I'm so bent on you people learning the symbolism of alchemy. I've offered you the charts for free. You can just look them up for yourself. I've given you links to the old alchemy books with just pages and pages of symbolism. And know these symbols' meanings change depending upon the tradition and the legend. How you read a map is its legend. And keeping everything in its context, rightly dividing, knowing the difference between the traditions of men and a pure alchemy. But alchemy creates, it transmutes, it turns lead to gold, the philosopher's stone, apotheosis. Okay, so always keep an eye on your Neptune. Those of you with Neptune in air in your natal charts, those of you born with Neptune in Libra, born starting in the early 1960s, this is your time for manifestation, actually, with Neptune in the air of Aquarius. So think about what it was when Neptune was conjunct, trine, or squared Saturn, and the same element are on the same cross. The cross is the square, the element is the trine. That'll help you a lot better looking at it on that terminology than when you think trine or square, you think, I got to get out the circle and I got to see what degree this is. No, you don't. Is it on the same cross? That's a square. Is it in the same element? That's a trine. Now, that's much more simpler than having to drag out that wheel and it don't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. The images, a picture paints 1,000 words. The images and the stars that are there tell us so much more than that wheel they give us, whatever that is. I don't know who dreamed that up. I see its point and its purpose. Sometimes I use it, but not for doing somebody's natal chart. You need to look at the big picture. All right, hope this helped you guys, and don't forget, commit that random act of kindness every chance you get. If you don't get a chance, create one. You will not regret it. We are moving into the age of the law of equivalent exchange. Karma, you will reap what you sow, and now is the time to sow your seed of kindness so that you can reap it when your time of visitation comes. In a way, you can look at it as storing up your treasures in heaven, or storing up your treasures in an air sign. Think about it.